The alien queen had always ruled her world with grace and wisdom, but that night, everything changed. Her palace, usually a place of safety and power, was under attack. Explosions shook the ground, alarms blared, and soldiers scrambled to defend her. The enemy was relentless, striking with precision, cutting off every possible escape route. Fear threatened to overwhelm her, though she had faced countless battles before. Still, this felt different. It was as if the very universe had turned against her. She stood on the balcony, looking at the chaos unfolding below. Her people were running, fighting, and hiding wherever they could, but many were already falling into enemy hands. She could hear the distant cries of her guards, the clash of weapons, and the roar of engines. Every second counted. She knew that if she stayed, she would be captured, and the fate of her people would be sealed. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the midst of the turmoil. At first, she thought it was one of her own elite soldiers, but as he drew closer, she realized he was different. He was human. She had heard of humans, distant travelers from another world, but she had never expected one to appear here, in the heart of her palace, in her moment of greatest danger. The human moved with incredible skill and confidence. He dodged blasts that would have killed anyone else and countered attacks with a precision that seemed almost unnatural. Every move he made was calculated, yet fluid, like a dance that balanced strength and grace. The alien queen watched in awe as he cut through the enemy lines, leaving a trail of confusion among the attackers. Her heart raced, both in fear and fascination. She had never seen anyone fight like this, not even her most experienced warriors. He finally reached her balcony. Without hesitation, he extended a hand and said, "Come with me. Now." His voice was calm, yet firm, leaving no room for doubt. The alien queen hesitated for a moment, her instincts telling her to trust him, even though she barely knew him. Something about him felt different, trustworthy, and brave. She grabbed his hand, and together they leapt from the balcony, landing safely on a hidden platform that led to the palace's underground tunnels. As they ran through the tunnels, the alien queen stole quick glances at the human. He seemed ordinary at first glance, but the way he moved, the intensity in his eyes, and the quiet determination all told her he was extraordinary. She wanted to ask his name, where he came from, and why he had risked everything for her, but there was no time. They had to keep moving. The sounds of battle above reminded them that danger was never far behind. The human led her through a series of twists and turns in the labyrinthine tunnels. Along the way, he deflected traps, neutralized enemies silently, and guided her past areas that were collapsing or flooded with deadly substances. She could barely keep up with his speed, but his presence gave her courage. With him, she no longer felt like a queen trapped in her own palace. She felt like a survivor, fighting for life alongside someone who truly cared. Finally, they reached a hidden chamber deep within the palace. It was a safe space, secure from the enemies above. The human motioned for her to rest, and she sank to the ground, her heart still pounding. For a moment, silence fell, broken only by the distant echoes of the battle. She studied him carefully. There was a quiet strength in him, an unspoken bravery that did not need words to shine. He knelt beside her and said softly, "You are safe here, for now. But we must plan the next step." His words were simple, yet filled with confidence, giving her a sense of hope she had not felt in hours. The alien queen felt an unfamiliar emotion stirring inside her, a mixture of gratitude, admiration, and something deeper, something she could not yet name. As they talked, she learned a little about him. He spoke sparingly, careful not to reveal too much, but enough to show that he was not a soldier sent by chance. He had chosen to be here, to fight for her, knowing the risks. He told her that he had been watching her world for some time, studying the threats she faced, and had planned his actions carefully. The alien queen was astonished. She had never imagined that someone from so far away would care enough to risk everything for her. Night passed slowly in that hidden chamber. They shared stories in whispers, laughter at small moments, and quiet observations about the world around them. Though they came from different planets, different lives, and different experiences, they found common ground in the simple human connection of trust and courage. The alien queen realized that this human was unlike anyone she had ever known. He was fearless but thoughtful, strong but gentle, and entirely selfless in his actions. As dawn approached, the sounds of battle above began to fade. The human turned to her and said, "I cannot stay. I have duties elsewhere and I cannot be captured, but I want you to remember this." From his pocket, he pulled a small pendant, delicate but clearly crafted with care. He handed it to her. The alien queen took it, examining the intricate symbols etched on its surface. She felt a strange warmth emanating from it, as if it held a part of him within it. Before she could say anything more, he was gone, vanished into the early morning light, leaving her alone in the chamber with only the pendant as proof that he had been there. She clutched it tightly, feeling the weight of both his absence and the memory of his bravery. Though he was gone, he had left an indelible mark on her life, one that would guide her decisions, her strength, and her heart in the days to come. The alien queen emerged from the tunnels, her people safe for now, her palace scarred but standing. Yet, in her heart, she carried a new sense of hope. The human had saved her not just from enemies, but from despair. She knew, even if she never saw him again, that their paths were connected in ways she could not yet understand. That one night had changed everything, and the memory of his courage, kindness, and mystery would stay with her forever. 5 years had passed since that fateful night when the human had saved the alien queen. Though the chaos of her palace had long been repaired and her people had regained some peace, the memory of him never faded. She often held the pendant he had left her, turning it over in her hands, examining the symbols that seemed to shift in the light. It was more than a gift. It was a connection, a reminder of bravery, kindness, and trust. During those 5 years, she had grown into an even stronger and wiser ruler. She had faced countless challenges: political conspiracies, attacks from rival factions, and natural disasters that threatened her planet. Each time, she drew strength from that night and the human who had changed everything. He had taught her, without words, that courage and decisiveness could alter fate. Even as she made decisions that affected millions, she felt a part of her, heart still connected to him, guiding her silently. Her palace, once a symbol of vulnerability, had become a fortress. Skilled architects and engineers had rebuilt it with advanced defenses, hidden escape routes, and secret chambers. Yet despite these improvements, she still remembered the feeling of helplessness that night. It reminded her that no matter how powerful she appeared, there were moments when courage alone determined survival. And it was courage, above all, that the human had shown. The alien queen spent much of her time among her people, listening to their concerns, helping them rebuild their lives, and learning what they needed most. She became known not only as a ruler, but as a protector and a friend. Her people admired her wisdom, yet they also noticed a quiet sadness in her eyes, a longing for something she did not speak about. Only a few close advisors knew the truth, that her heart still carried the memory of a human who had vanished as mysteriously as he had appeared. The pendant remained with her at all times, resting on a chain around her neck or tucked safely into her personal chamber. She often studied the symbols, hoping to understand their meaning. She tried to decipher whether it held a message or if it was simply a token of memory. On quiet nights, she would sit alone, holding it close, imagining his face, his voice, and the calm confidence he had carried even in the face of danger. The pendant became her secret companion, a source of comfort when the weight of leadership grew heavy. Despite her busy schedule, she allowed herself moments to think about him. She remembered the way he had moved, how he had looked at her, the small kindnesses he had shown. He had risked everything without expecting anything in return. The thought of him taught her patience and hope, two qualities she had not fully understood before that night. She realized that even heroes, those who risk their lives for others, sometimes disappear, leaving only memories and the hope of reunion. Rumors of human travelers occasionally reached her from distant systems. She heard tales of humans navigating dangerous sectors, helping worlds in crisis, or simply disappearing after completing secret missions. Each report made her heart race. Could he be among them? Every message was examined carefully by her intelligence officers, but none revealed the truth. She learned to accept that the human who had saved her might remain a mystery forever. Yet she also refused to give up hope. Hope, she realized, was a powerful force, one that could guide her through the darkest times. During these years, she also faced the challenge of ruling without feeling alone. While advisors, friends, and loyal guards surrounded her, none could replace the unique presence of the human. He had not only saved her life, but had reminded her of trust, connection, and shared courage. She often spoke to her closest advisors about leadership and strategy, and though they admired her wisdom, they could not see or feel the bond she carried silently. It was a bond that belonged only to her and the memory of one night that had changed her life. She also began training herself in new skills, inspired by the human's courage and precision. She learned tactics, self-defense, and even strategies that were unusual for a ruler of her kind. She wanted to be ready, should danger ever return, or if he were to appear again. Every time she practiced, she imagined him beside her, guiding her silently, sharing unspoken advice through memory. It kept her sharp, focused, and prepared for any challenge. Despite the hardships of leadership, there were moments of joy. Festivals, peaceful gatherings, and celebrations of victories reminded her that life could be beautiful, even in a world once torn by war. During these moments, she sometimes felt a strange hope, imagining that he might appear among the celebrations, smiling as if nothing had changed. She knew it was unlikely, yet she allowed herself the thought. Hope, she realized, was not weakness. It was fuel for courage and resilience. The alien queen also reflected on the human's reasons for leaving. She remembered his words and the quiet intensity in his eyes. He had vanished without explanation, leaving her only the pendant. She understood, even without knowing details, that his departure had not been a choice against her. It had been a duty, a responsibility, a mission that required him to disappear. She respected his decision, but the emptiness of his absence was a constant companion. Yet, in that emptiness, she found determination. She would become stronger, wiser, and ready, so that if fate ever brought him back, she would meet him as an equal, prepared for whatever challenges awaited. Years passed, and she continued her rule with determination. Her people prospered, and her palace stood stronger than ever. And still, she never let go of the pendant or the memory of the human who had risked everything for her. Each day, she reminded herself that courage and loyalty could cross worlds, and that sometimes the universe had plans that could not be understood immediately. Though 5 years had passed, she felt as if one night had left a permanent mark on her soul, shaping her leadership, her choices, and her heart. Every evening, as she looked out over her city, seeing lights twinkle and hearing laughter from her people, she held the pendant tightly. She whispered to it silently, as if sending her thoughts across the stars, hoping he could feel her words. "I have grown stronger," she would say. "I am ready, whenever you return." And deep inside, she believed that one day, destiny would bring him back to her, just as fate had once brought him into her life at the most unexpected moment. In these 5 years of absence, she had learned many lessons. Strength was not just power. Hope could survive in silence, and courage often came in small, quiet acts as much as in bold heroics. Most importantly, she had learned that some connections once formed could never be broken, no matter the distance, the years, or the universe itself. And so she waited, quietly but steadfastly, prepared for the day when the human who had changed everything might appear again, bringing with him a new chapter in her life and the promise of adventures yet to come. 5 years had passed since the human had disappeared, and the alien queen continued to rule with wisdom and strength. But one day, something unusual happened that made her heart race. Strange signals began appearing near her planet. They were unlike any communication her people had encountered before, encrypted, complex, and unmistakably advanced. At first, she thought it might be a new threat, some enemy testing her defenses, yet something deep inside told her otherwise. There was a familiarity to the patterns, a rhythm that reminded her of the human who had once saved her life. She called her top scientists and advisors to the observation deck, a place where the stars stretched endlessly beyond the palace walls. They examined the signals, analyzed frequencies, and traced the origin as far as possible. None of them could immediately decipher the messages, and none of them could explain why they felt personal. The alien queen watched them work, but her mind was elsewhere. She studied the movement of the symbols, the strange pulses of energy, and the delicate timing in the transmissions. Her intuition told her that this was not just technology, it was someone reaching out intentionally, someone who knew her, someone who cared. Days passed, and the signals grew stronger. The scientists identified encrypted coordinates that led to a remote, uncharted system far from her known allies. The alien queen studied the star maps carefully, noticing how the coordinates aligned with sectors humans had been rumored to explore. Her heart leapt. Could it really be him? The thought of the human returning after all these years filled her with both hope and anxiety. She had spent half a decade wondering if she would ever see him again, and now the universe seemed to be giving her an answer. At the same time, strange phenomena began occurring around her planet. Small, unexplained energy surges disrupted the technology in her city. Occasionally, glimpses of advanced ships were reported in the skies, ships unlike any her people had built. Her advisors were cautious, fearing that this might signal a new invasion. But she felt differently. She recognized the precision, the intelligence, and the subtle grace in these actions. It reminded her of the human's skills, the careful way he had moved through danger and protected her during the night he saved her life. Determined to understand, the alien queen gathered her most trusted allies and prepared to travel to the coordinates. She did not hesitate. Her instincts told her that this was no ordinary event and that it could only mean one thing: the human had returned. She equipped her personal starship, studied the star charts, and traced the path to the remote system. Every step she took was measured, careful, and full of anticipation. For the first time in years, she felt a thrill she had almost forgotten: the possibility of reunion. The journey was long, through uncharted space filled with nebulas, asteroid fields, and hidden dangers. She navigated with skill, but her thoughts were constantly on him. She remembered the way he had moved through the palace that night, the calm confidence in his eyes, and the kindness he had shown even in the midst of chaos. She wondered how much he had changed in 5 years, what challenges he had faced, and whether he had thought of her as much as she had thought of him. As she approached the coordinates, the signals became clearer. The symbols on her screen pulsed, rhythmically, as if alive. She could feel a connection forming through space itself. It was as though the human had left pieces of himself behind, guiding her to this exact location. Her heart pounded in anticipation, her breath quickened, and a mixture of fear and excitement filled her. What if he was no longer the same person she remembered? What if the passage of time and the challenges of the universe had changed him beyond recognition? Finally, she arrived at a remote, hidden planet. It was small, with rocky terrain and strange energy fields that shimmered in the atmosphere. Her sensors picked up a single vessel, a ship unmistakably human in design, yet modified in ways that suggested long journeys and advanced technology. Her heart leapt. There was no doubt in her mind. He was here. He had returned, and all the years of waiting, hoping, and wondering had led to this moment. She prepared to land carefully, her mind racing with questions. How would he greet her? Would he remember her? Would he explain why he had vanished? And yet, amidst all the uncertainty, there was a calm in her chest, a quiet confidence that whatever happened next would be meaningful. The bond formed in one. Night of bravery and courage was stronger than time, distance, or even the universe itself. As she stepped onto the planet's surface, she saw movement in the distance. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall and confident, with the same calm, focused presence she remembered. Her breath caught in her throat. He looked different, older, with experiences written on his face, but it was undeniably him. The same human who had saved her life, the same person who had vanished without a trace 5 years ago. And yet, there was something more in his eyes now. Wisdom, strength, and a quiet intensity that told her he had been through much, yet remained the same person at heart. They stood there for a moment, neither speaking, just looking at one another. The universe seemed to pause around them, as if acknowledging the significance of their reunion. Memories of that night flashed in her mind, the fear, the courage, the way he had held her hand, the trust they had shared. Now, after 5 long years, that memory came alive again, more vivid and powerful than ever. Finally, he spoke, his voice calm but filled with emotion. "I never forgot you," he said simply. The alien queen felt a warmth spread through her chest. All the years of waiting, all the uncertainty, all the longing, it led to this single, powerful moment. She realized that some connections could not be broken, no matter the distance, the challenges, or the passage of time. This was one of those connections. They began to walk toward one another, cautious but filled with an unspoken understanding. Each step closed the gap not just in space, but in time, bridging 5 years of separation and longing. She could see that he had changed, but the essence of who he was remained intact, the same bravery, kindness, and calm confidence that had captured her trust and heart on the night he saved her. As they finally stood face to face, words seemed unnecessary. The signals, the journey, the mysterious phenomena, they had all led to this reunion. They could finally begin to share the stories of the years apart, to rebuild the bond that had begun in a single night of courage. The alien queen felt a deep, profound sense of relief and joy. Fate had returned him to her, and together they could face whatever challenges awaited in the universe beyond. The moment the alien queen and the human finally faced each other, the world seemed to pause. 5 years of waiting, longing, and unanswered questions weighed heavily on her, yet seeing him now brought a surge of relief and joy she had never thought possible. He looked older, with a subtle strength in his features and a quiet wisdom in his eyes, yet the essence of him, the bravery, the calm confidence, and the kindness that had drawn her trust, remained unchanged. For a long moment, neither spoke. They simply looked at one another, taking in the changes that time had brought. The alien queen noticed the small scars on his hands, evidence of battles fought and challenges overcome. She saw the way his posture had grown more assured, more deliberate, suggesting the experiences of someone who had faced dangers beyond imagination. Yet in his eyes, she recognized the same care and concern that had guided him when he had saved her life all those years ago. Finally, he spoke, his voice low but steady. "I never forgot you," he said. Those simple words carried the weight of everything they had experienced apart. The alien queen felt a rush of emotions, relief, gratitude, longing, and a quiet joy that mingled with the remnants of past sorrow. She realized that no distance, no years, and no challenges could diminish the bond they had formed in that single night of courage. She stepped closer, her voice trembling slightly. "Why did you leave? Why did you vanish without a word?" The human's expression softened, a hint of sadness crossing his face. "I wanted to stay," he admitted. "But I had responsibilities I could not ignore. I had a mission on my world that required secrecy. If I had stayed, it could have endangered you and your people. I had to disappear, for your safety and for theirs." The alien queen listened carefully, her heart swelling with understanding. She realized that his disappearance had not been abandonment, but an act of selflessness. He had risked everything to protect her, even if it meant enduring years of separation without explanation. For the first time, she understood the depth of his courage, the magnitude of his loyalty, and the reason she had never stopped hoping for his return. They walked together across the rocky terrain, sharing stories of the years they had spent apart. He spoke of distant worlds, dangerous missions, and challenges that had tested his skill and endurance. She shared the story of her own rule, the struggles she had faced, and the ways in which she had grown stronger in his absence. With each word, the connection between them deepened. The distance of 5 years melted away, replaced by understanding, trust, and a renewed bond forged through memory and experience. As they talked, laughter began to flow naturally between them. Even after years apart, they found joy in each other's company. Small jokes, shared observations, and the simple pleasure of being together created a sense of normalcy that had been absent from her life for so long. She realized that the human had brought not just courage and protection into her life, but also a lightness, a warmth that reminded her of the simpler joys amidst the challenges of leadership. He also explained the decisions he had made during their separation. Every choice, every risk, every mission had been calculated to ensure that he could one day return to her safely. He spoke with quiet humility, never boasting of his achievements, yet she could see the extraordinary effort and bravery behind every word. She felt a deep admiration for him, not just as the human who had saved her life, but as a partner who had endured hardship with patience, skill, and integrity. The alien queen reached for the pendant he had left her 5 years ago, holding it between them. "This guided me through everything," she said softly. "It reminded me of your courage and of hope. It reminded me to keep going, even when I felt alone." He smiled gently, reaching out to touch her hand. "I'm glad it helped. It was meant to be a connection, a way to keep us linked no matter the distance." As the sun began to set on the remote planet, painting the sky in shades of gold and purple, they found a quiet place to sit. The human continued to explain the strange phenomena they had seen near her planet: signals, advanced technology, and mysterious energy surges. He admitted that some of his actions had been deliberate, ways of testing the world and preparing for the moment they could reunite safely. She realized that he had been thinking of her and her safety even from afar, guiding events with a precision that only someone truly devoted could achieve. They also spoke of the future, cautiously at first, but with growing excitement. The alien queen shared her vision for her planet and her people, the plans she had made for their protection and prosperity. He listened carefully, offering insights, suggestions, and strategies that only someone with his knowledge and experience could provide. Slowly, the idea of partnership began to form in their conversation, not just a bond of trust and emotion, but a true alliance of minds and hearts. As night fell, stars sparkling overhead, the alien queen realized something profound. The human was no longer just a fleeting presence from one night of heroism. He had returned not only to reconnect with her, but to stand beside her in the challenges yet to come. She felt a deep gratitude and relief, knowing that the bond they shared could now grow openly, without fear or distance separating them. They spent hours talking, planning, and simply being near each other. The tension of uncertainty and years of separation began to dissolve, replaced by warmth, trust, and the promise of shared experiences. The alien queen understood that the human had always been extraordinary, but now she saw him as a partner, someone whose presence could strengthen her rule, protect her people, and share in the joys and burdens of her life. Before sleep claimed them, he turned to her and said quietly, "I am here to stay, if you will let me." She felt a wave of emotion, a mixture of joy, relief, and hope. "I will," she whispered. In that moment, all the years of waiting, all the fears, and all the longing found their resolution. The reunion was complete, not just in presence, but in understanding, trust, and the beginning of a new chapter together. The alien queen knew that the challenges of the universe were far from over. Enemies still lingered, mysteries remained, and dangers awaited. But with him by her side, she felt stronger than ever. Courage, loyalty, and love, the same qualities that had shaped one unforgettable night, were now the foundation of a bond that could face anything. And in that quiet moment under the stars, she realized that together they were ready to meet the future, no matter what it held. With the human finally back by her side, the alien queen felt a renewed sense of strength. 5 years of waiting, hope, and preparation had led to this moment, and she knew that together they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. The bond they had shared in a single night of danger had grown into something deeper: trust, understanding, and a partnership that could guide them through the most difficult trials. The first step was to ensure the safety of her planet and her people. Over the years, she had built strong defenses and loyal allies, but the universe was unpredictable. With him by her side, she could approach these challenges differently. His knowledge of other worlds, his experience navigating dangers, and his unique skills gave her new confidence. She no longer needed to rely solely on her own strength. Together, they could strategize, anticipate threats, and act with precision. They began by reviewing reports of unusual activity around her planet. Strange energy fluctuations, advanced technology sightings, and encrypted signals suggested that enemies might be testing her defenses. While these incidents had worried her in the past, she now saw them differently. They were not just signs of danger, they were opportunities to apply their combined skills. Together, they analyzed the data, mapped possible threats, and developed contingency plans that were both clever and practical. As they worked, their bond continued to deepen. She noticed how his presence calmed her mind, allowing her to think clearly even in moments of uncertainty. He listened carefully to her ideas, offering guidance without overshadowing her authority. They complemented each other perfectly. Her leadership, vision, and knowledge of her world paired with his resourcefulness, courage, and understanding of distant civilizations. It was a partnership that strengthened not only their strategy, but their connection on a personal level. One day, reports arrived of a faction planning an attack on one of the outer cities. The alien queen and the human acted immediately. Using a combination of advanced technology and careful planning, they devised a way to intercept the threat without causing harm to civilians. The human led a small team through the operation, demonstrating his precision and courage, while the alien queen coordinated the defense and ensured the safety of her people. The mission was a success, and the citizens celebrated, unaware of the quiet teamwork that had saved them. Through these challenges, the alien queen realized how much she had grown over the past 5 years. Her strength had increased, her wisdom had deepened, and her ability to trust others had expanded. Yet, even with all her growth, she acknowledged that the human's return had changed everything. He had not only brought his skills, but had reminded her of the value of companionship, support, and shared courage. They were no longer two individuals connected by a single night. They were a team, capable of facing dangers that neither could handle alone. As time passed, their work together continued to strengthen her planet. They forged alliances with nearby civilizations, using his knowledge of other worlds to negotiate treaties and prevent conflicts before they could begin. The humans' experience and perspective offered new solutions to old problems, and the alien queen's wisdom and leadership ensured that their plans were executed effectively. Their combined influence created stability, growth, and prosperity that had been impossible to achieve alone. Yet it was not only in the tasks of leadership that their bond thrived. In quiet moments, away from the pressures of duty, they shared stories, laughed together, and simply enjoyed each other's company. The nights were filled with conversation, discovery, and the simple joy of being near someone who understood and valued them completely. Through these shared moments, their partnership became more than a strategy. It became a foundation of trust, respect, and a deep emotional connection. The human also taught her new skills. Together, they practiced tactics, explored new technologies, and prepared for threats that might emerge from unknown sectors of space. He shared knowledge from his travels, explaining concepts and techniques that seemed almost magical at first. She absorbed everything eagerly, not only to strengthen her defenses, but to understand him better, to see the world through his experiences, and to grow as a leader who could face any challenge with him by her side. Their partnership soon became known across nearby systems. Stories spread of the alien queen who had once been saved by a human and the human who returned to stand beside her. Allies admired their teamwork, and even potential enemies reconsidered their strategies when they learned of the bond between them. Together, they had become a symbol of courage, resilience, and unity, a reminder that trust and loyalty could transcend worlds, species, and time itself. Despite all these accomplishments, the alien queen and the human never forgot the significance of their first meeting. They returned in their minds to that night of danger, remembering the fear, the courage, and the trust that had brought them together. It was a memory that fueled their present efforts, a foundation for everything they built together. Each day, they honored that night by acting with bravery, integrity, and a commitment to protect the innocent and the vulnerable. As they faced new threats, negotiated treaties, and explored unknown territories, their bond only grew stronger. Challenges that might have overwhelmed a single ruler were now met with collaboration, strategy, and shared courage. They supported each other through moments of doubt, celebrated victories together, and faced dangers with unwavering determination. Every obstacle became an opportunity to learn, grow, and strengthen their partnership, proving that their connection was more than fate. It was a choice they made every day, a commitment to face the universe together. In time, the alien queen realized that the human was no longer just a hero who had saved her one night. He had become an inseparable part of her life, her world, and her leadership. Together, they created a future where courage, wisdom, and loyalty guided every decision, and where their bond inspired those around them. They had taken a single night of heroism and turned it into a lasting partnership capable of shaping galaxies. And as they stood together on the balcony of her palace, looking at the stars that stretched endlessly beyond, the alien queen felt a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. She held the pendant he had given her so long ago, now a symbol not only of memory, but of the life and adventures they shared. The human looked beside her, sharing a smile, a glance that spoke of trust, love, and an unbreakable bond. They had faced separation, uncertainty, and challenges beyond imagining, yet they had found each other again. Together they were stronger, wiser, and ready to meet whatever the universe held for them. The alien queen knew that with him by her side, no threat was too great, no challenge too daunting, and no journey too long. They were partners, friends, and allies, and together they would shape the future with courage, hope, and a bond that could never be broken. In the end, the story that had begun in one night of fear and heroism became a lifetime of partnership, proving that courage, trust, and loyalty could endure across years, worlds, and even galaxies. Together they faced the universe, ready for every challenge, and inspired all who knew them with the remarkable story of a human who had saved an alien queen and returned to stand beside her, completing a circle that destiny had begun 5 years before.